So the first workflow we want to show you is how you can export scenarios from Urban using the new and improved web scene creation experience. Like Dominic mentioned, it was possible to export scenarios from Urban before, but your options were very limited. You can see in the dialog box on the left, representing the old way of exporting web scenes, where you can only choose from existing layers within Urban without any changes to the symbology. Now with the new release, as the dialog box on the right demonstrates, now you can symbolize metrics from scenarios on buildings, surfaces, and parcels. So for instance, if you want to visualize residential units in your new exported web scene, you can choose from a whole new library of color ramps we've included in Urban to determine how those residential units will be symbolized. And with that, let's go ahead and jump into the demo. So to see the new web scene export functionality, go ahead and open up a plan from the overview window within Urban. And then once you've opened your plan and have chosen a specific scenario that you'd like to export, come up to the plan's title's drop-down menu and click Create Scenario Web Scene. So although the option to export scenarios has been here since last year, now you can choose how you want your building surfaces and parcels symbolized in the new web scene. First, you'll go ahead and set the title of your new web scene, which automatically defaults to the name of the scenario it's coming from. And optionally, you can add a little summary. You also see down here a button that allows you to export web scenes from scenarios the old way. This will only be here until the next release though, so don't get too used to it. Now in the next step, you'll go ahead and choose specifically how you want your building symbolized in the web scene. This list on the left represents all the different metrics that I can include. These metrics are actually the same metrics that you can find in my plan's dashboard tab, such as the number of residential units, the total residential population, and total jobs, and so on. Now on the right side, you'll notice that there are some default visualizations. These are already set within my web scene, such as the white default view and the space use types. Before, you were only able to export these layers into a web scene. Now, however, we can create a story around the metrics in this scenario. So to add new metrics to the web scene, simply drag and drop them from the list on the left to the right. You'll notice that when I do, a color ramp will instantly appear next to that metric. You can now choose each individual metric's color ramp from an extensive library that we've included in the new release. Oh, I think it paused. There we go. All right, so now if your scenario has surfaces, like mine does, we can include this option to visualize surfaces. Since my plan has open green space, I'll go ahead and choose total amenity area to demonstrate where the greatest concentration of that green space will be. Lastly, you'll do the same thing for parcels. Unlike buildings and surfaces, parcels also contain data from the underlying zoning district. On this type drop-down menu, you can specify which particular category you're interested in visualizing. So we have metrics, suitability, building, and zoning. So to demonstrate the different heights allowed for each parcel, I'll go ahead and choose the height metric, which will show me the allowed building height for each parcel. Then, once you've finished, you can specify if you want all the attributes for the scenario exported or just the ones you want visualized. Clicking this option will help speed up the export process. All right, now once the web scene has been created, we have a couple different options now. First, we can go ahead and copy the URL if we want to embed it into a web scene or share it with others. We can open it in ArcGIS Online Scene Viewer. We can also open the feature layer in ArcAGOL to change the share settings or create a new app, which we'll actually be demonstrating later. For now, let's go ahead and open it in Scene Viewer. So as my web scene opens here, you can see our default view in the map area. You can also see I can navigate through this in 3D. And on the right side, we have a whole list of different layers and sublayers to choose from. I'll go ahead and click on the Visualize Space by Space Use, and you'll see it symbolizes our buildings like it does within the urban model. And now we could choose the layers we exported, such as the total residential population, and see where the greatest concentration of new residents in this corridor will be located. Same thing for total jobs. We can see where the majority of the new jobs will be situated. And of course, we can show the existing conditions and be able to quickly compare our proposed built out with these existing conditions. And since we also exported surfaces, we can visualize our green spaces and also see where the greatest concentration of our new green space will be located. Now on to parcels. So we exported the allowed height for each parcel according to the underlying zoning code. So now we're able to quickly see which parcels allow the greatest building height. And two, we have our zoning layers, which are also exported from our scenario. So you can choose to visualize them as well. And if I come over to the map area and click on a zoning district, you'll see that you can also interact with these layers to find out more about them. On this panel, you can see a whole list of information about this specific zoning district, which mimics the zoning parameters that you can see in urban. Going back to my layers, you can also interact with some of the other exported symbology. So for parcels, I can go ahead and click on a parcel and see the different building heights allowed. So 600 feet, in this case, 400, and also 100. I can also do the same for surfaces, but let's jump to buildings. So turning on my buildings layer, I can click on an individual building's floor and see a whole list of relevant data about it, such as the floor information, the specific space use types, the metrics for that individual floor, as well as for the whole building itself. And lastly, I can go ahead and click on the plan area itself to see all the different metrics associated with it, including the ones that I exported with their own symbology, as well as the other metrics in my dashboard. So that's a quick demo of the new export functionality